There's a scientific reason why you can hold a crystal clear vision of what you want, repeat it 1,000 times, feel excited about it, and still wake up in the exact same life you're trying to escape. And it has nothing to do with your discipline, your worthiness, or whether the universe is listening. The real issue is something most teachers won't tell you because they don't understand it themselves. When your three minds sync, when they finally vibrate at the same frequency, reality doesn't just shift, it bends. And when they don't, when each layer of your consciousness is broadcasting a different message, you create what physicists call destructive interference. Your intentions cancel each other out before they ever touch the physical world. Right now, as you're watching this, your conscious mind is probably agreeing with me. It's nodding along, thinking, yes, I want change, I'm ready for this. But underneath that surface agreement, there's a second mind, your subconscious, that's running a completely different program. It's replaying every moment you tried and failed, every time you reached for something and it slipped away, every experience that taught your nervous system that wanting leads to disappointment. And beneath that, there's a third layer, your unconscious mind, carrying information that isn't even yours. It's holding the survival strategies of people who lived generations before you, strategies that once kept them alive, but now keep you small. This is the invisible architecture of why manifestation feels impossible, even when you're doing everything right. You're not sending one clear signal into the quantum field. You're sending 3 contradictory broadcasts, and the universe can't mirror back clarity when what you're emitting is noise. But here's what changes everything, and this is what we're going to explore together today. There's a specific way to bring these 3 minds into coherence, into what neuroscience calls synchronization. And when that happens, when your conscious intention, your subconscious emotion, and your unconscious memory finally align, you don't have to force reality to change. It responds naturally to the unified signal you're finally sending. If this kind of deep work resonates with you, if you feel something shift when you hear these words, I invite you to subscribe to this channel, because what we explore here isn't surface-level repetition. It's the mechanics of transformation that actually work. Let me show you what's really happening when your 3 minds are out of sync. Most people think manifestation is about convincing the universe to give them what they want. They think if they just visualize harder, affirm longer, act more disciplined, eventually reality will comply. But that's not how consciousness works. That's not how the quantum field operates. The quantum field doesn't respond to effort. It responds to coherence. It mirrors back the dominant frequency you're holding, not the one you're pretending to hold. And here's the part that changes everything. You're not holding one frequency, you're holding 3. Your conscious mind, the thinking mind, operates at the level of intention. It decides what you want, sets goals, makes plans. This is the mind you use when you write in your journal, when you create vision boards, when you tell yourself who you're becoming. But your conscious mind represents only about 10% of your total mental activity. The other 90% belongs to your subconscious and unconscious minds. And those layers don't speak the language of words or logic. They speak the language of sensation, emotion, and survival. Your subconscious mind is your feeling center. It's your body's memory bank, storing every emotional experience you've ever had as a chemical signature. When you think about something you want, your subconscious immediately scans its database. Have we felt this before? Is it safe? What happened last time we reached for this? And if your subconscious finds more evidence of pain than pleasure, more proof of failure than success, it begins broadcasting a frequency of resistance. Not because it wants to sabotage you, but because its primary job is to keep you alive. And alive means familiar. Then there's your unconscious mind, the deepest layer, holding patterns that were never yours to begin with. These are inherited emotional blueprints, transgenerational trauma, survival instructions passed down through your lineage. Carl Jung identified this as the collective unconscious. And what it means is that sometimes you're not blocking your own dream. You're blocking someone else's fear that got encoded in your biology decades before you were born. So the question isn't why isn't manifestation working? The question is, how could it work when 3 different versions of you are trying to create three different realities at the same time. Think of your three minds like musicians in an orchestra. When they're playing different songs simultaneously, you don't get harmony, you get chaos. The conscious mind is playing the melody of your future. The subconscious is playing the rhythm of your past. The unconscious is playing the bass line of ancestral survival. And the conductor, the quantum field, can't translate that into a coherent symphony. What emerges instead is dissonance, a reality that feels fragmented, stuck, contradictory. This isn't mystical speculation. This is observable in neuroscience. Dr. Bruce Lipton's research in epigenetics shows that your subconscious mind controls 95% of your behavior, running automatic programs that were installed before you were 7 years old. Most of what you do, feel, and attract isn't coming from your conscious choices. It's coming from these invisible programs running in the background. And when those programs contradict your conscious desires, you experience what feels like self-sabotage. But it's not sabotage, it's a lack of internal alignment. It's three minds broadcasting on three different frequencies. The conscious mind operates in the future. It's always planning, projecting, imagining. The subconscious operates in the present moment, responding to what it senses right now based on what it learned in the past. And the unconscious operates in a timeless space, holding patterns that feel like truth, even though they originated generations ago. When these three temporal zones don't sync, you end up with what physicists describe as temporal incoherence. You're trying to create from three different points in time, and the quantum field, which exists in an eternal now, can't collapse a probability into form when the signal itself is scattered across past, present, and future. Many of us on this path have heard about aligning thoughts and emotions. We've practiced feeling the wish fulfilled, acting as if, stepping into the identity of the person who already has what we want. And those practices work, but only partially, because they're addressing two minds while ignoring the third. They're trying to sync your conscious intention with your subconscious emotion, but they're not touching the unconscious programming that sits beneath both. That's why you can have a breakthrough, feel like you've finally shifted, and then 3 days later, find yourself right back in the old pattern. It's not that you lost progress, it's that the unconscious mind, sensing danger in the unfamiliar, pulled you back to the frequency it recognizes as safe. True synchronization, the kind that actually bends reality, requires all three minds to hold the same frequency at the same time. That's when the electromagnetic field around your body becomes coherent. That's when your heart and brain enter into resonance. That's when the quantum field stops receiving mixed signals and starts reflecting a unified intention. Here's where most people unknowingly sabotage themselves. They try to change their reality by working exclusively with the conscious mind. They set intentions, speak affirmations, visualize outcomes, and then they wonder why nothing shifts. The reason is simple. You can't talk your way into a new frequency. You can't think your way past a subconscious belief. And you definitely can't override unconscious survival programming with positive thoughts alone. Let me give you an example. You want financial abundance, so you start affirming, I am wealthy, I am abundant, money flows to me easily. Your conscious mind is on board. It likes this idea. But while you're speaking those words, your body is contracting. Your stomach tightens. Your shoulders pull forward. Your breathing becomes shallow. That's your subconscious responding. It's remembering every time you didn't have enough, every bill that stressed you, every moment you felt the fear of scarcity. And those memories aren't just thoughts, they're chemical realities stored in your cells. So even as you're affirming abundance, your body is producing cortisol, the stress hormone. Your nervous system is signaling danger. And that chemical state is broadcasting a frequency of lack far louder than your conscious words. Meanwhile, your unconscious mind might be holding a program that says earning money requires suffering, or that people with money are greedy, or that wanting more is selfish. These aren't beliefs you consciously chose. They're inherited conclusions, passed down from parents or grandparents who lived through different times, different struggles. But those conclusions are still running in your system, creating resistance at a level you can't even perceive. This is the trap. You're working hard on the surface while ignoring the foundation. It's like repainting a house that's built on a cracked foundation and wondering why the walls keep splitting. Studies in behavioral psychology confirm this. Research by John Bargh at Yale University shows that up to 95% of our behavior is unconscious. We're operating on autopilot, running programs we didn't install and don't remember learning. And those programs control what we attract, how we react, what we believe is possible. So when you try to manifest from the conscious mind alone, you're essentially asking 10% of your system to override 90%. The math doesn't work. The frequency doesn't hold. You might get moments of alignment, flashes where everything feels possible, but as soon as your guard drops, the subconscious and unconscious pull you back to baseline, back to the familiar frequency, back to the reality you've been trying to escape. Not because you're weak, but because you've been using the wrong tools to solve a multi-layered problem. Now, I want you to hear something important, something that might shift everything for you. If you've been trying to change your life and it hasn't worked yet, that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It doesn't mean you're broken, unworthy, or that reality is somehow against you. What it means is that you were working with incomplete information. You were trying to shift one layer when the real work requires all three. And that's not a failure on your part. That's just how deep this process actually goes. The moment you understand this, the moment you realize that the obstacle isn't your lack of effort, but your lack of synchronization, everything changes. You stop forcing, you stop pushing, you stop trying to convince yourself of something your body doesn't believe. Instead, you begin the work of integration. You start listening to all three voices instead of silencing two of them. And that listening, that acknowledgement, that's where real transformation begins. Most teachings on manifestation treat resistance as something to overcome, something to break through with more willpower or more faith. But resistance isn't your enemy. Resistance is information. It's your subconscious showing you where the frequency mismatch exists. It's your unconscious revealing which old programs are still running. And when you stop fighting that information and start working with it, you move from struggle to alignment, from effort to flow. Those of us who have walked this path know this truth. We've spent years trying to force change from the outside, only to realize that the shift had to happen inside first. Not just in our thoughts, but in our nervous system. Not just in our beliefs, but in our cellular memory. And that work, that deep recalibration, that's what separates people who talk about transformation from people who live it. If this message is landing for you, if something inside you is recognizing this truth, I want to ask you to do something simple. Hit the like button on this video. Not just because it helps the algorithm, but because that small action is a declaration. It's you saying, yes, this matters. This needs to reach others who are searching for the same answers. That one gesture helps this message find the people who need to hear it today. So if you feel that pull, go ahead and like this video right now. Now I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself these questions. Not to answer them out loud, but to feel them, to let them land in your body and see what arises. How many times have you felt clarity in your mind about what you want, but when you move toward it, your body freezes? How many times have you made a decision consciously, only to find yourself sabotaging it unconsciously? How many times have you said, I'm ready for this, while a deeper part of you whispered, but it's not safe? These aren't rhetorical questions. They're diagnostic tools. The answers that surface when you sit with them honestly reveal exactly where the disconnection lives. They show you which of your three minds is broadcasting the loudest resistance. And that awareness, that moment of seeing what you've been avoiding, that's the doorway to synchronization. Many of us on this journey keep moving forward without looking inward. We keep searching for the next technique, the next teacher, the next missing piece, when the interference is already inside us, waiting to be acknowledged. And that's the turning point. That's the moment when everything shifts. Not when you find the perfect practice, but when you finally stop running from your own signal, when you allow yourself to feel the contraction, to hear the doubt, to notice the fear without immediately trying to fix it or suppress it. Because here's what we often miss. Your subconscious isn't trying to ruin your life. Your unconscious isn't conspiring against you. They're protecting you based on outdated information, running programs that once served a purpose, and they won't update those programs until you show them, not with words, but with experience, that the new frequency is safe. That reaching for more doesn't lead to pain. That expansion doesn't equal danger. That's the work. That's what brings the three minds into alignment. Not affirmations, but embodied proof. Not visualization, but visceral safety. So before we move into the practical steps, sit with those questions. Let the answers emerge, because what you discover in that stillness will tell you exactly where to begin. Synchronizing your three minds isn't an abstract concept. It's a tangible process that happens through specific, repeatable actions. And the power isn't in the complexity of what you do. The power is in the consistency with which you do it. Because you're not trying to override decades of programming in a single session. You're building new neural pathways, establishing new chemical patterns, teaching your body that a different frequency is not only possible, but sustainable. The first step is somatic awareness. This means you begin tracking the physical sensations that arise when you think about your desire. Most people live entirely in their heads, making decisions based on thoughts while completely ignoring the signals their body is sending. But your body is where the subconscious speaks. So, when you visualize your next level, what happens in your chest? Does it expand or collapse? Does your breathing deepen or shorten? Does warmth spread through you, or does tension grip you? Those physical responses are your subconscious giving you real-time feedback. If your body contracts, that's a red flag. That's your system saying this doesn't feel safe yet. And no amount of mental affirmation will override that physiological truth. The second step is nervous system regulation. Before you can install a new frequency, you have to bring your system out of survival mode and into a state of safety. This is where most manifestation practices fail. They try to plant seeds in soil that's still frozen. Your nervous system has two primary states: sympathetic, which is fight or flight, and parasympathetic, which is rest and growth. When you're in sympathetic activation, your body is focused on immediate survival. It's not open to new possibilities. It's defending against perceived threats. So you need to consciously shift into parasympathetic activation before you attempt any reprogramming work. One of the most effective ways to do this is through coherent breathing. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 5. Hold at the top for a count of 5. Exhale slowly for a count of 7. Repeat this pattern for 3 minutes. What's happening here isn't just relaxation. You're actively synchronizing your heart rhythm with your brainwave patterns. Research from the HeartMath Institute shows that when your heart and brain are coherent, your body produces DHEA instead of cortisol, a hormone that promotes growth and healing rather than stress and survival. This is the physiological state where your subconscious becomes receptive to new programming. The third step is emotional anchoring. Once your nervous system is calm, you don't visualize from your head, you feel from your body. You recall a moment in your life when you genuinely felt the emotion you're trying to embody. Maybe it's confidence, maybe it's peace, maybe it's joy. Find a real memory where that emotion was present, even if just for a moment. Then let that sensation expand through your entire body. Don't force it, invite it. Feel it in your hands, your chest, your throat. Let it become a full-body experience. This isn't make-believe. This is neurological rewiring. When your body feels an emotion, your subconscious begins recording it as real. And when your subconscious believes it's real, your unconscious stops treating it as a threat. People who are applying this process, who are working with all three minds instead of just one, are reporting profound shifts, not just in their internal state, but in their external reality. Opportunities appearing that weren't there before. relationships transforming in unexpected ways, old patterns finally breaking after years of repetition. Because when you synchronize your conscious intention, your subconscious emotion, and your unconscious memory, you stop emitting conflicting signals, and the quantum field can finally mirror back what you're actually asking for. Here's something nobody tells you when you start this work, something you need to hear so you don't give up when it shows up. You're going to have days where everything feels aligned, where your three minds seem to be humming in perfect harmony, where your vision feels clear, your body feels open, your energy feels unstoppable. And then you're going to have other days where the old frequency comes roaring back. Days where fear grips you out of nowhere. Days where doubt whispers louder than your intention. Days where your body contracts again and you feel like you've lost all your progress. And in those moments, you're going to think you failed. You're going to think it didn't work. You're going to wonder if you're even capable of sustaining a new reality. But none of that is true. Those regression moments aren't failures. They're feedback. They're part of the natural rhythm of reprogramming a nervous system that has decades of practice holding the old frequency. Your subconscious has tens of thousands of hours reinforcing the patterns you're trying to change. It's not going to release them after 3 good days. It's going to test whether this new frequency is real, whether it's safe, whether you're serious about holding it. The difference between people who successfully shift into a new reality and people who cycle back to the old one isn't that they never fall back. It's what they do when they fall. They don't stay in judgment. They don't spiral into shame. They recognize what's happening. They say, "This is my subconscious trying to return to the familiar." And from that awareness, they choose again. They return to the breath. They return to the practice. They return to the frequency they're building. All of us walking this path have experienced this. We've all taken 2 steps forward and 1 step back. But that step back isn't regression. It's information showing you where the resistance still lives, where the work still needs attention, and that information is valuable. Because once you see it, you can address it directly instead of pretending it doesn't exist. So now I want to invite you to do something. Something simple but powerful. Something that will mark a shift in how you relate to this process. I want you to choose one symbolic action that represents your commitment to this frequency. It could be something internal or external. It could be a decision, a gesture, a moment of intentional stillness. The important thing is that it comes from you, that it means something real in your world, that it signifies the moment you stopped being someone who talks about transformation and became someone who embodies it. And once you've chosen that action, I want you to share something in the comments below. You can share who you're deciding to become from this point forward. You can share what landed for you in this video, what piece of understanding finally clicked. You can share the next practice you're committing to integrating into your daily life, or you can share a personal experience that shows how this content connects to what you're living right now. Whatever resonates with you, share that. Because when you declare something, when you make it visible, something shifts inside you. It becomes real. It becomes commitment. It becomes identity. Now, remember that question I opened with at the beginning. Why can you hold a crystal clear vision and still wake up in the same life? The answer is this. Because your 3 minds weren't synchronized. Because you were broadcasting 3 different frequencies and expecting the quantum field to somehow translate that noise into a clear manifestation. But now you know differently. Now you understand that the work isn't about visualizing harder or affirming longer. The work is about bringing all 3 layers of your consciousness into coherence, about teaching your subconscious that the new frequency is safe, about updating the unconscious programs that have been running on autopilot for generations. That's the real work. That's what actually bends reality. And here's the truth nobody can give you, but that you must claim for yourself. When your 3 minds sync, when they finally vibrate as one unified field, you don't have to chase manifestation. You become the frequency that reality reflects back to you. Not someday, not when you're finally perfect. Right now, with what you have, with where you are. The synchronization isn't something you achieve in the future. It's something you practice in the present, until it becomes your natural state. What you need to understand is that synchronizing your three minds isn't an event you complete. It's an identity you inhabit. It's not something you do once and check off your list. It's a way of living, a way of listening to yourself, a way of responding to your internal signals with awareness instead of reaction. When you adopt this identity, when you become someone who lives from internal coherence, your external reality begins reflecting that coherence back to you, because the quantum field doesn't respond to your words or your hopes, it responds to your frequency. And your frequency is determined by whether your conscious intention, your subconscious emotion, and your unconscious memory are all broadcasting the same signal. This journey doesn't end here. This is just the beginning. If you've just found this channel, if this is your first time encountering this work, I invite you to explore the other videos we have. We go deep into each of these layers, showing you how to work with your subconscious, how to reprogram your unconscious patterns, how to sustain a new frequency in the chaos of everyday life. And if this vision resonates with your path, if you feel like you belong in this space, I invite you to subscribe. Because this isn't just a content channel. This is a community. This is a gathering place for people who decided to stop repeating patterns and start creating realities. People who understand that true transformation happens from the inside out, not the other way around. Every week I'll continue sharing tools, insights, and practices that support you in this expansion. Not surface-level tactics, but the deep mechanics of how consciousness actually works. How your three minds communicate with each other, and with the field of infinite possibilities surrounding you. So I'll see you in the next video. Until then, remember this. Your three minds already know how to sync. They're designed for coherence. They're wired for alignment. All they need is for you to consciously choose to hold that frequency, to practice it daily, to return to it when you drift. Because synchronization isn't something you force, it's something you allow. And once you allow it, reality has no choice but to bend in response.